Education meeting to order at 7 p.m. January 27th, 2025, PAC Germantown High School. If you're able, please stand and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance in a brief moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1A, official meeting notification. Dr. Reuter.
Public notice of all meetings has been given by communication from the superintendent's office to the public, to those in media, news media, and have requested such notices to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Northwest Now, Express News, and West Bend Daily News. Public notice has also been posted in schools throughout the district and on the Germantown School District website.
Item B, roll call. Mr. Barney.
Ewert.
Here.
Brown.
Present.
Barney's here. Loth.
Here.
Pollock.
Here.
Higginbotham.
Here.
And Medved is absent excused.
Item 2, approval of agenda. I'll hear a motion.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Mr. Pollock with the motion, Ms. Higginbotham with the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Item 3, reports. A, District Administrator update, Dr. Chris Reuter.
Thank you. As we concluded the first semester, we did have 5 high school seniors at GHS who were eligible to graduate at semester. They will be participating in our graduation ceremony, but as early graduates, I'd like to recognize them this evening. Our first graduate is Cooper Catalano, Sarah Miller, Manthan Patel, Evan Seitz, and Jamarcus Smith. We congratulate all of them as they're moving on to college and or career fields early. So congratulations to our seniors.
Fantastic.
I'll forward to the board, and we'll be putting this out on social media and most likely in our family newsletter update coming out at the end of this month. But Mr. John Bell and the United Sound program here at Germantown High School was featured in the Wisconsin Music Educators magazine this past month. And I know that Mr. Bell also presented at CISA 1 on Friday with Ms. Cole's regional special education director group. So just a great testament of his leadership of that group, as well as our students actively participated to have both local and statewide recognition. And then tonight, you'll see on the agenda, we have multiple reports. Our first group this evening that'll come forward after our student representative report are some of our students from Rockfield Elementary. We are not selling cookies tonight, but they're going to come forward and actually they probably are, right? They're always for sale in the parking lot. So they will be coming forward tonight to talk a little bit about Rockfield, some of the great things going on there, and Dr. Crowett will introduce them. Mr. Miziak this evening will be discussing a review of our annual assessment report. We do this annually in January to look back at the previous year. I would like the board and the public to think that through that is kind of a current state of where we stand from an academic achievement standpoint that will be utilized in my report next month, related to where we're at with strategic planning and some of the parent and community feedback we're going to get qualitatively, as Mr. Miziak's report tonight is quantitatively of our current state. And then we will have a report out from various board members related to the State Education Convention this past week, the Delegate Assembly, Ms. Higginbotham participated in, and then our village liaison. So we have a jam-packed reports this evening, but all very great information for the district and the community at large.
Fantastic. Thank you. Item B, student representative report.
Squat down a little bit. January has been a month of creativity and movement at County Line as students stay warm inside while diving into engaging activities. In PE, students are learning tumbling skills, building strength, coordination, and confidence through fun and active routines. Meanwhile, music classrooms are alive with sound as young musicians practice new pieces, sharpening their skills and preparing for upcoming performances. In art, imaginations are soaring as students create vibrant 3D pieces, exploring shapes in new and exciting ways. These experiences keep spirits high and minds focused during the chilly winter days. MacArthur is off to a great start for 2025. Our value word focuses for December and January were perseverance and empathy. The scholars are finishing up map testing for the winter session this week and next week, and this has been an area where perseverance is in high swing. Our 5th graders and 2nd graders did a wonderful job showcasing their musical skills while performing in their grade level concerts. The whole school gets to benefit from these concerts because the dress rehearsal happens during the school day for all to see. Finally, our PTA organized ice cream sundaes for our students this week in honor of General MacArthur's birthday. There are lots of activities going on at Rockfield Elementary. Before break, our 3rd grade students visited the Cedarburg Performing Arts Center. Our 5th graders visited North Middle School, our kindergartners went to Ellen's Home South Assisted Living Home, and our 1st graders went to the Mequon Nature Preserve. Since returning from break, our 1st grade students also took a trip to the Gables of Germantown on January 13th. We have a lot to celebrate this month at Kennedy. Not only did we accomplish online scheduling for our coordinated arts and completed winter map testing, but we also won some awards outside of school as well. The forensics team attended their first meet of the season at Silverbrook Intermediate School and won a 3rd place team trophy. Congratulations to our KMS FBLA team for their hard work and outstanding performance at regionals in West Bend this Saturday. We have many individuals and teams finish in the top 5 of their categories, and KMS took 2nd place overall. Way to go. Our Future City team received a special award for the best use of recreational space from the American Society of Civil Engineers Young Members Group. On Saturday, January 18th, this team of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders competed at the annual Future City competition at the Kern Center in MSOE. Congrats. Finally, Semester 1 exams have concluded at GHS, and students began their new Semester 2 schedules today. Our Dramatic Impact program will be presenting their winter musical, 6 Teen Edition, right here in the PAC, February 7th through February 9th. Finally, GHS students are looking forward to the Blizzard Ball, a winter dance hosted by Student Council, which will be held on February 22nd. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
Item D, GSD annual, item C, Rockfield Elementary School presentation, Dr. Dana Kroger. And game.
Good evening. We are excited tonight to present to you a Rockfield Music Garden from our 5th grade Girl Scout troop.
Hi, my name is Zoe and I am here with my Girl Scout troop 1216. We are here to talk about our musical garden that we would like to build in honor of Mrs. McConnell, our late music teacher.
Hi, my name is Olivia. Miss McConnell was an incredible singer and loved music. She persevered through everything. She never missed anything unless she absolutely had to. We want to continue spreading her love for music by creating a music garden in our playground.
Hi, my name is Madison. Music is special because it makes people happy and it has lots of different styles for everyone to explore and get creative with. Also, it reminds us of Miss McConnell and her passion for music. It will put a smile on little kids' faces. Music can make a kid's day.
Hi, my name is Allison. The music garden would impact me and so many others because Miss McConnell was a very great person and we'd like to honor her. The music garden on Rockfield Playground will keep her spirit alive.
Younger kids can also play. Younger kids can also play at the music garden. It will give them a chance to be creative and have fun in a different way.
Hi, my name is Opal. Being a 5th grader means a lot of responsibilities, like being a great leader of the school. As leaders of the school, we would love to make something special for others to enjoy before we leave Rockfield. Hi,
my name is Kylie. I would like to be a big part of the school by contributing to this special project for my last year at Rockfield. We love Rockfield, and that's why we would like to leave behind something as special as a music garden for all to enjoy.
Hi, my name is Ellie. As a troop, we also want to give back to the school because Miss McConnell was a big loss, and we want to help our school remember her. We are grateful that we can do something useful and enjoyable for the school.
Hi, my name is Mila. We have done so many projects as a troop, but none of our projects have really been permanent. So we are excited to have a project that will be permanent and one that is this big. Hi, my name is Avery. We are always looking for ways to enhance the experiences of our students at Rockfield. When Mrs. McConnell passed away and her family requested to donate the memorial donations to the music program, the music garden idea came to mind. We are very fortunate to have a music room equipped with instruments and technology to meet our needs. Therefore, spreading the joy of music to playtime seemed most appropriate. Outside, with the addition of our music garden, students will be able to create music on their own. They can play with others or by themselves. They can add words or dance too if they want. Their opportunities are endless.
Hi, my name is Daphne. Around the same time of Mrs. McConnell's passing, our Girl Scout troop 1216 reached out to the principal to see if the school needed help with any playground enhancements. Our troop wants to finalize our time together as a troop with a big project that gives back to the school we spent so much time learning and laughing in.
Hi, my name is Olivia. Together with the help of some school staff, our troop organized a plan to present to the building committee. We have made slideshows, documents, and searched ideas on the internet and sacrificed a bunch of recesses. We are proud to present to you this evening and believe in our hearts that this project is worthwhile for current and future Rockfield students.
Thank you for listening to our fifth graders from Rockfield.
I would add that, I'm sorry. Thank you, fifth graders. Next month, Dr. Crowett will be at Buildings and Grounds with Mr. Lord to share a preliminary sketch and there are donations next month at the board meeting for additional playground equipment that these fifth graders so eloquently described.
It's amazing. Thank you for all your time and effort. I think it's going to be a fantastic addition to the school there.
Thank you.
Item D, GST Annual Assessment Report. Mr. Misiak.
All right, now that I've got the technology under control. This is the third year that I'm presenting in January an annual assessment report, and as Dr. Reuter had previously mentioned, this is a look back on the previous school year. So the vast majority of the data that I'm going to share with you tonight captures data from the 23-24 school year and not the current. We've gone into depth on the state report card at the teaching and learning level, and we've had some discussions on the priority areas that are involved in the state report card and how the previous state report card from the 23-24 school year is not necessarily comparable with the state report cards that came before it. Part of that is because of the significant changes that were made to cut scores and the way that those scores were calculated. So again, when you're looking through it from the lens that Dr. Reuter had described as a current state, if you're looking cast forward into subsequent years, this is a nice way to level the playing field to say, here's where we were, and then ways for us to monitor those improvements that we're making in our academic core areas going forward. So 23-24 can be thought of as a baseline, given the changes that were made to the forward exam and those cut scores. As we've talked about in relation to the forward exam, there are 4 major areas on the forward exam that can be thought of as ways that we can measure our academic progress. We've got overall achievement, we have growth, which measures how much our students are growing relative to peers that are similar to them in the state of Wisconsin. Target group outcomes, which measure students who are in the lowest quartile and students who are on track to graduation. The on track to graduation score, you can see, is broken into 4 components when we look at the district report card, and it measures absenteeism, our graduation rate, 3rd grade ELA, and 8th grade mathematics proficiency. In the assessment report, I've gone a little bit deeper in terms of some of the other assessments that we use that we didn't spend as much time at the teaching and learning level talking about. So one of those is the ACT. There are 3 different grade levels that are measured with the ACT. So we have the pre-ACT in grades 9 and 10, and then we have the ACT in grade 11. So the ACT is, you can get different scores for this. So the one that's reported in this table is called the state contract, because this is the one that measures our juniors' performance in the spring. Students have the opportunity to retake certain portions of the test or retake the test altogether. So this does not capture any of the additional tests that students might take in an effort to improve their scores. So this is just that one-time snapshot of how well our juniors perform in the spring. And you can see from the 21-22 school year to now, we have fairly consistent performance in terms of how well our juniors are doing on the ACT. In terms of our ACT by subject area, that is also broken out within the assessment report, so you can see how our students are doing in those individual areas on the ACT. One of the things to note, there's that table that's on the bottom, and that breaks out how many of our students in the graduating class are making ACT benchmarks. For each one of the test areas on the ACT establishes a benchmark score that if that student surpasses the benchmark score, the ACT is saying with 75% confidence that if students go on to pursue college level work in that area, they would pass that course. So if a student takes entry-level mathematics and scores over a 22 on the ACT, we're calling them college ready because we're saying they're able to do that coursework, and the ACT is predicting with a 75% chance they're going to be able to pass that course if they take it at the college level. So you can see over time the number of students who are meeting that ACT benchmark in those 4 areas has been increasing over time. Additionally, you're going to see some consistency like you saw in the overall composite score, that our scores in English, math, reading, and science have remained fairly consistent for the last 3 years. In addition to the ACT, students also take the pre-ACT, so these are our 9th and 10th graders who are taking those scores. The pre-ACT was first given during the 22-23 school year, so that was the first time that they administered the pre-ACT. Prior to that, ACT had a different test that they were using, but the tests are not comparable, so I did not include the data in the presentation. So when you look at that first table, what that's looking at is for each one of those classes, what their average composite score was. So in the 22-23 school year, our 9th graders who took it, that's that first column, and then in the 23-24 school year, that's that second column. So again, if you were moving from our 9th grade, 22-23, 17.8 to our 23-24 composite of 18.7 for our 10th graders, that's that same cohort of kids. So as we take this over time, we'll be able to track the cohort of students moving through and how well they're doing on each one of these tests. Additionally, we'll be able to see how well that pre-ACT score is predicting our composite score on the ACT for our students. But again, because we've got kind of a limited data set here, we're not to that point yet. But as we continue to give the pre-ACT and subsequent school years, we're going to be able to watch the trends of cohorts for our students. Additionally, the other thing that our state report card will factor in is how well our students are doing on the pre-ACT. So as a reference point for you, for mathematics, if a student is scoring between or our composite score, or students are scoring between from 16 to 22, they would say that that student is meeting expectations. And then for reading, meeting expectations is between a 15 and a 23. So both of our averages fall within that meeting range for the pre-ACT for 9th grade. Similarly for 10th grade, and you can see that marked by that, the bottom of that 10th grade cohort there in the 23-24 school year, our composite score was a 19.6. For 10th graders, the range for meeting is from a 17 to a 24 for mathematics, and then for reading, it's a 17 to a 25. So again, our composite score is falling in that meeting range. Another measure that we can look at in terms of our academic performance is the advanced placement tests that our students are taking. So we offer a variety of advanced placement courses at the high school level. What I've put here for you is the number of exams that we're administering in each one of those given years. So you can see in the 2024 school year, we saw a considerable increase in the students who were taking AP exams over the previous school year, and a significant increase over the 2022 school year. In addition to that, with the high number of tests that are going up, we're also seeing a high number of our students who are also passing those AP tests. So passing an AP test is getting a score of a 3 or above. So in the 24 school year, the 23-24 school year, we had 91.3% of our students attain a passing score. So both of those are trends that are very encouraging for us to see, that positive uptick in the number of students who are taking the exam, but also the number of students who are passing. The last piece that I've included in the assessment report, when we think about ways that we can measure the performance of our schools, at the elementary level, there are two primary indicators that we have. One being the forward exam, and the second one being our NWEA MAP test that we administer to students 3 times a year. As this is a look back, I didn't include the growth data in this report. We've discussed that at the future Teaching and Learning Committee. Once we have all of our MAP results in for this year, I'll be able to show the MAP growth for our students for this current school year, moving from fall to winter. We also shared a lot of that growth data last year as we were tracking it over time with our focus on measuring reading. So what you can see here kind of highlights the discrepancy that we had talked about at the Teaching and Learning Committee, especially if you're looking at that top table in terms of our students' performance. So across the state of Wisconsin, schools saw these big jumps in the number of students who were advanced and proficient, moving from the 22-23 school year to the 23-24 school year. So presenting the data in this table, one, I wanted to highlight the significant difference that kind of occurred between those school years, and one of the challenges that presents to us is being able to see what types of improvements we've made over time. When we look at the lower table, that sort of provides us an internal reference point for us to look at when we look at forward performance. So the information that I provided to you in the left-hand column of the table for each of the ELA and mathematics, MAP has a measure in which they project proficiency on the forward exam. So what that means is, based on the student's performance in fall, if they grow exactly how MAP anticipates them to grow, so they demonstrate average growth, MAP would predict that many students would be proficient or advanced on the forward exam. So you can see across the board, as we move from MAP to Forward, the number of students who are proficient or advanced on the Forward exam significantly exceeds the number that MAP is projecting. That can be thought of, you can kind of parse that two ways. One of the ways to look at that is MAP is very conservative in terms of its prediction of the number of students who are going to be proficient. The other way that you can look at that, and we have internal data to support this, is that the way in which our students grow does exceed what MAP predicts. So anytime our growth rate is exceeding 50%, our students are growing faster than what MAP projected, and therefore more of our students are likely to end up proficient or advanced on the Forward exam. And we can provide that data for each one of our elementary schools, so we can kind of take a look at each one of the elementary schools and monitor within that data set how well our students are doing. One of the things that we do look for in all of our data is we break this down beyond just the averages that we're providing to you. So if you merely look at the county line data and you take a look at how well our students are performing, one of the things that you'll notice at county line is a very small number of our students are below basic in both reading and math. So one of the things that we want to start doing is to take a look at our students who are basic and below basic, and that lowest 25% of our students, and what adjustments can we make to their instructional program to make sure that they are continuing to grow and we're continuing to close the gap between where they are right now and being proficient. In addition to that, and you can do this with any one of our schools, you can take a look at MacArthur's performance data, and another thing that we're looking for within that data is the number of students who are advanced on the Forward exam. So again, those are the trends that we're looking for over time. One of the challenges with the way that the state adjusted its reporting for this year is we can't necessarily understand how much we grew our students who are in that advanced lane of the Forward exam. We can do that with our MAP, and that's one of the things that I'll show at the Teaching and Learning Committee is I can take one of our elementary data sets and I can take a look at the number of students who are performing at that highest level and look at their achievement plus their growth. So we can say for our students who are achieving at a very high level, are we still continuing to grow them at a rate that exceeds that 50% mark? Because one of the things that we want to try to avoid is having students who are very high achieving but aren't demonstrating the growth that we want to see. We also have the same data that I just described for all 4 of our elementary schools for Kennedy Middle School. So again, one of the ways that we can measure the performance at Kennedy is taking a look at each one of those bands on the Forward exam, plus taking a look at how that correlates to MAP. One of the things that you'll see that we noticed on the Forward exam from 22-23 to 24 or 23-24 is we saw that big jump in the number of students who were identified advanced on the Forward exam. We recently switched our math curriculum from CMP to Open Up, so this would have been a great year for us to be able to see how well our students moved. But again, there was that shift in the way in which the state reported that data to us, so it's very hard for us to understand how much of an impact that resource had. With the MAP data that I'll be able to provide at the Teaching and Learning Committee, you'll get to see that from what we've seen from Kennedy so far. Within math, we're seeing very nice growth in terms of how much our students have grown from fall to winter on that exam. And with that, if you have any questions about the assessment report, I'd be happy to answer those for you now.
Any questions?
I'm just going to say it was very helpful having the list of the current assessments and what we use them for, so I appreciate having that in there. And then you kind of touched on it, and it'll be interesting to see. It's unfortunate that we can't compare last year to this year, especially with having new math and then the new reading curriculum. So hoping for next year, unless they change it again, because I believe there's some steps to try to revert it back, which is also going to be then frustrating because now we have 2-3 years of data that is going to be less than useful. So, figuring out how to use this data to help, the students that we currently have, and like you said, trying to hit these kids that are currently below basic in order to get them caught up and close that gap, and the steps we need to take to do that.
Yeah, there is some rumblings at the state level to potentially move back to the previous levels for the cut scores. The one tricky piece to that is, you mentioned, Ms. Higginbotham, is that if they do that, the test also changed. So you have two variables that changed in that equation. So if we were to revert back, we might have another year that there's some inconsistencies. But given that the test is the same, we can we'll at least be able to take a look at how well we're growing. And I'm happy that you pointed out the current assessments. So I didn't project this because it would be impossible to read. But one of the things that you'll notice within the current assessments that we're using, there are two new ones that were listed from this year that were not previously used. The first one is called AIMSweb Plus. That's the state screener that we're required to administer to all of our 4K through grade 3 students. Sorry. And that's the screener that the state mandated that all of our readers will take in those grades. In addition to that, the state required that there was a diagnostic assessment that was administered after the screener. So if a student scores below the 25th percentile on that screener, we have to administer a diagnostic. So map reading fluency is the one that we've chosen to use as our diagnostic. The state of Wisconsin had recommendations for the ones that they approved for a diagnostic, and map reading fluency, given we already use MAP and its ability to monitor the additional areas of reading that we were looking for, made it kind of a logical choice for us.
Anything else?
I would just add, thank you, Mr. Miziak, for the comprehensive report, and there are many measures. To Ms. Higginbotham's point, we are internally and externally told how to utilize those different assessments that are outlined in the report. And this, with looking back at historical data, will help us determine our key performance indicators that we'll measure as a school district moving forward, regardless of what the state does and continually changes the goalposts on us. So we need to determine, and that'll come out of the strategic planning process, how we're measuring growth and academic excellence within our district.
I was just going to say, I'm looking forward to the numbers in teaching and learning next month, just because what is important is that growth factor. Yep. Like, how are we hitting both our students that are struggling and also the top? Because if we're not helping that top percentile, and they're just kind of not being challenged like they need to be, we're not doing them justice either. So definitely looking forward to that growth factor.
With MAP being nationally normed, and they're not lowering the expectation, like what has happened this past year with our state assessment.
So I think just in regards to the state assessment side of this and MAP and the totality of what was presented tonight, the district's in a unique position, or has positioned itself in a unique manner to provide some insight and input at that state level. And I just wanted to thank the board members and the administration that have put ourselves there in a position to be at least at the table or of context around the conversation of whether these scores stay, go, change, and what that impact is. And back to what Ms. Higginbotham said, ultimately is the growth side of it, which is really the heartbeat of what we're looking at, and being able to help tie that in to the legislative level. So thank you for that work. Anything else? Ms. Higginbotham, I believe you are up. WASB Delegate Assembly Report.
All right, so on January 22nd, 2025, the WASB Delegate Assembly met at the Baird Center in Milwaukee, at which time delegates from across the state met to discuss and vote on 12 resolutions. This included 5 amendments to existing resolutions, and then the potential to add 7 newly created resolutions. The final result was that the 5 amendments were all passed. These included a bipartisan Blue Ribbon Commission on School Funding to call upon legislature to provide an equal opportunity for every pupil to have a sound basic education. There was a slight addition of language affecting the pathway to licensure for paraprofessionals. There was a call for consistent standards across all Wisconsin schools that are publicly funded or receiving voucher funding. And this will include the same accountability, reporting, and transparency standards. And the fourth one was language added to a resolution regarding educational objectives pertaining to student achievement and readiness. And finally, some language added to a truancy resolution to hopefully keep students in school. Also, there were 7 resolutions that were newly written, and only 5 of those resolutions actually passed the Assembly. One was an early literacy assessment for English learners, and that attempts to address, which will be interesting to see the impact of that, of Act 20 on our English learners, which could potentially be labeled at risk, even though their reading comprehension is well. It's just the ability to understand the language. So that could potentially impact our district. Obviously, there's an early education funding and public-private partnerships to begin state-funded 3K and a full-day 4K for Wisconsin students. A resolution to support statewide mental health initiatives to improve staff mental health. A resolution for funding for school meal department, allocating state money for unpaid school meal debt. And finally, a resolution passing allocating funds for cybersecurity measures, which can include such things as software, hardware upgrades, and training for personnel. So just to keep in mind that these are not writing of legislation, but it's actually, these resolutions give WASB a directive on what the different delegates are saying as far as the issues that we're facing in public education and the direction that we want them to take.
Fantastic, thank you. I guess I'm up with the Wisconsin State Education Convention where that meeting took place. I just wanted to say thank you to the following board members that attended: Pollock, Barney, Higginbotham, Brown, and myself. This conference gives a unique opportunity for board members and district administration to come together and spread out across this convention and participate in several breakout sessions from various topics, from school finance, mental health, different technologies and advancements, just a broad variety of topics of conversation and discussion, as well as to network with other districts from around the state and kind of exchange experiences and learn from each other from that aspect, what they're dealing with and maybe what we can anticipate coming in our direction. If any of the attendees had anything they'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I was able to attend both full days, Wednesday and Thursday. A couple sessions of note that I attended were on cybersecurity, school safety, and one on artificial intelligence. That one was pretty interesting. And I have some time booked with Dr. Reuter for later this week to discuss our readiness or progress in those areas.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was always a good event. It was nice to interact with some different school districts that I've had the opportunity to interact with in the past. Saw Mr. Miziak out in the exhibition hall. But yeah, it's always, you always fortunately walk away with at least 2-3 things that carry some importance that hopefully we can use and those type of things. So.
Absolutely. Any others? Thank you guys for attending. I appreciate it. Like Mr. Barney said, it's technically a 4-day conference. The bulk of it is handled on Wednesday and Thursday, and I appreciate the time. It is a lot. It's a lot of information. You try to get to as many sessions as possible, and then we all run to Dr. Reuter's office with great new ideas, and he goes, time out, strategic planning. We're going to have those discussions. Yeah. No, but it's fantastic. Conversation starters at a minimum, but definitely great information for this district as leaders to bring back into the building. So I appreciate everyone's efforts in participation in that. So if no one has anything further, we can move on. And then item G, Village Liaison Report, that is also me. Instead of recapping the entire Planning Commission meeting, I will just kind of give you a higher view, if I can scroll up. So Planning Commission met at Village Hall, January 13th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. The main topic of conversation that would concern this board was a developer proposing, actually, I shouldn't say proposing, but presenting an idea of residential development in the area of Lannon and County Line, the northeast corner, an 88-acre parcel. Their development proposal involved 4 different types of housing, 44 flagship homes, which are larger style homes, 103 pathway homes, which are your typical size homes, 108 row homes, which are more of that side-by-side condo, multiples, and then 28 paired, which would be that like side-by-side 2-unit dwelling standoff. During their presentation, they did explain this would be a mixture of rental and ownership, with the 44 flagship homes looking to be ownership, and then the pathway row homes and paired homes to be mostly rental, with a mixture in that pathway homes area. The village took input from citizens as well as various commission members, varying from concerns on the rental aspect, the density aspect. I provided from a district standpoint, this would affect the Amy Bell School District from an elementary side. We did hear from the developers who actually came forward with a thoughtful number, 135 potential students that this could attract to the district. And we've been in conversations with Dr. Reuter in regards to what that means for Amy Bell and maybe some normalization of population there, as well as it affects in middle school and the high school. This development was just a simple, this meeting was just a simple kind of a Q&A to gauge the interest of the village board and the village commission with them moving forward with this potential development. No decisions were made or granted at that time. I believe this was the second development that's been proposed for that area. It's definitely modified more towards homes this time around than apartment style renting, which is always, this board has always kind of been an advocate for staying away from apartment rentals, given the influx of stress they can cause on a building, specifically in the July, August lease agreement fluctuation. I don't know if Dr. Reuter had any other thoughts on that as far as this particular development, but.
No, I think that it was important, obviously you as a member of that plan commission and representing the school district, to have that conversation, as we've talked a lot about. And this will come up this evening in the open enrollment report, and why the recommendation is where it is, because within the last year, there's been multiple presentations at the village level for growth in this community, and we're getting a stronger voice at the table. Case in point, the meeting that we had with the president, or executive director Krecklau, just this last week.
Absolutely. I think one thing to touch on in regards to this would be the influx in revenue into the district. If you were to receive 135 new students from the state aid standpoint, as well as a 88-acre plot of current farm field being developed into a $130, $160 million development, what that means from a taxing revenue standpoint for the district. This was not proposed in some form of TID or anything along those lines, so those would be impactful as the development occurs versus some of the other developments that we've been hearing about.
Yeah, and the location is key as well, because we know we have last year open enrollment seats at Amy Bell as well as Rockfield, but not knowing the prediction of this, as I'll speak to later, that would not cause stress, as our highest density areas at the elementary level are County Line and MacArthur, where we do see high density residential, so any expansion in those boundary and limits, that's where we put stress on the system.
And I'll reach to the village again, once again. We appreciate this ability to have this confluence of information sharing and thought to go back and forth. It does help us prevent those ideas and understandings, specifically the developments like this in key areas for us. I think there was a couple other meetings that took place. Ms. Higginbotham was on one, and Tracy, I wasn't sure if you had Parks and Rec.
We did have a meeting this month for Park and Rec. It was I'll call it a special meeting, focused meeting with regards to the 4th of July festivities. And at that meeting, it was recommended by the commission to encourage the village to make a decision regarding whether or not the Park and Rec department led the efforts. It was determined based off of just the amount of work that they do over the summer with all of the different activities that the commission had encouraged the village board to do their best efforts to try to find either some other organization or organizations to help lead the effort and take some of the stress off of the Park and Rec department.
Thank you.
The item was on the agenda during the January meeting. I forget the date exactly, but it was pulled off. So the village still hasn't
Continued
reviewed it.
conversation.
Yeah.
Well, and then the Economic Development Commission also met on January 7th. A couple of discussions there. One was regarding Germantown Business Development Loan Program, which was originally just for the portion of the village, which has now been extended to the entire village of Germantown. So anybody looking to start a small business, potentially look into that. But more regarding as far as the school district goes, same kind of conversations that you guys are having as far as the push towards high-density housing, particularly around the Pilgrim and Mequon intersection and the old Flower Source property. Those seem to be kind of the push again for high-density housing. So I just encourage constituents in the village of Germantown, Richfield, and the surrounding areas just to be involved in what's going on at those meetings. And because we do, have some sort of say to, get in touch with your village trustees, and just having a voice in saying what our village looks like, because it will, whatever direction that they take, it's going to affect the residents, and it's also going to affect our student population. So just to stay involved, and I know they're talking about kind of having the committees working together as far as the village board and the Economic Development Commission just kind of getting together and really looking at these proposals.
And I think they've had that in the past where econ and planning has met as a co-meeting.
And they would like to start getting that more, both
Sure.
of us involved.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Anything further? Dr. White? We'll move on to item 4, citizen comment. I'm just going to make sure we don't have any. Nope, okay, thank you. Item 5, consent agenda. 5A, approval December 16, 2024 meeting minutes. Approval B, approval of teacher contracts, and C, approval of donations.
Move approval of consent agenda.
Second.
Mr. Barney with the motion, Mr. Pollock with the second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to hear a highlight of the donations, please.
For sure.
Take a deep breath.
I'm a deep breath, so I can't. We have an anonymous donation of $500 to the Germantown High School Choir, the Germantown Area Chamber of Commerce, $200 to the Germantown High School Choir as well, Germantown Community Coalition, $500 to the Germantown High School Sage Club, Krenz and Company, $1,500 to Germantown High School Robotics Team, Turnkey Solutions, $1,000 to Germantown High School Robotics Team, Desert Air, $500 to Germantown High School Robotics Team, 3-2 Baseball Booster Club, windscreens, backstop covers, dugout fence sleeves for the Dream Field, Kiwanis Club of Germantown, $500 to the school district for the supply drive to work with our social workers, Amy Bell PTA, $700 shipping for smartboard TVs at Amy Bell Elementary School, MacArthur PTA, $3,462.02 to kindergarten, second, and third grade field trips. Warhawk Band Boosters, $499 for Mac Minis for the Germantown High School Band. Warhawk Band Boosters, $2,906.72 for motor coaches for their competition to the Germantown High School Band. Quest Engineering, TFL/MDF, and Mike, I don't know what that means. Wood panels valued at $4,247.10 to our high school tech ed department. We had an anonymous donor of $3,000, $1,000 going to the GHS Black Student Union, $1,000 going to Sage at GHS, $500 to GHS Emerging Women's Salon, $250 to one of our English teachers to be used at the Teacher's Choice with approval from the principal for materials, and another $250 to a KMS tech ed teacher to be used at Teacher's Choice with approval from the principal for materials as well.
Thank you. For those keeping track, that's over $19,500 just this month. We have fantastic donors. Thank you for your generosity.
Absolutely, it's amazing every month to see that number. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Item 6, Ad Hoc Transportation Committee. Mr. Pollack.
Yes, the Ad Hoc Transportation Committee met on January 6th. There was a couple of items to note. There was an old meeting minutes from September of 21 that needed to be approved, so we're going to make sure that once our committee's work has been completed this year to close out those last meeting minutes of the cycle in an appropriate time frame. But our main focus was on reviewing and discussing the proposal for student transportation services that was going to be sent out. A lot of back and forth, a lot of different perspectives that we shared, so I would, for those people interested, it is out and available to be reviewed. The general time frame, the RFPs were to be sent out on sent out on January 8th, and we have a due date coming up in early February. I believe it's the 6th that those RFPs are due by. So at this time, we have no actions to be brought forward.
Fantastic, thank you. Move to item 7, Personnel Committee. Mr. Brown.
Yes, on January 20th of 2025, the Personnel Committee had a meeting with all committee members present as well as other board members. Director Nowak gave us an update on the compensation study. As of the 20th, the study is progressing along on schedule with the completion of the focus groups, and we'd like to thank everybody that participated in those 4 focus groups. We briefly discussed and went over responses from the groups and touched base on some initial themes that had emerged. The next step in the process is to digest this information and look deeper into the themes. Recommendations, if any, are expected to be implemented by the fiscal new year of July 1st, 2025. Next, we covered the usual staffing updates. Then we moved to the teacher contract negotiation efforts. That begins typically November, December. I believe our first time we reached out to the GEA to commence negotiation contacts was in November of 2024. This is an initial meeting which establishes a tentative timeframe, ground rules. We share data that they require and set negotiation teams and the process going forward. Unfortunately, up to this date, it seems the GEA has been unwilling to even begin the initial meetings to get that stuff off the table, so when the conversations get going, we can move along quickly. Last year, we enjoyed a very smooth process where the teachers began the year with an understanding of what the compensation was, and I hope we can keep that goodwill going and start the process of the negotiations. I understand there's a coordinated effort, probably statewide, to delay the actual negotiation parts due to the political environment. But again, initial meetings to set the ground rules and the teams, we could get that done and out of the way. So looking forward to that. Then we moved to teacher contracts, of which we already covered in the consent agenda tonight. In addition, though, we will be bringing forward to full board with approval of recommendation for 2 contracts. for Kelsey Meyer and Maureen Warnemont to be co-managers of Destination Imagination from Kennedy Middle School, or I'm sorry, MacArthur Elementary.
That comes forward with a positive recommendation.
Correct.
Being so, it does not require a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Anything further?
Nope.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Item 8, Buildings and Grounds Committee. Back to Mr. Powell.
Thank you. We met earlier this evening. Two main items on the agenda for tonight. The first one, probably one of the more important ones, is we received an update on the long-range facility plan from J.P. Cullen and PRA as far as the different work that they have completed. So I would encourage everybody to, once it's available, to review the video. Obviously, this is a big project for us, very important for us, and it's just something that people honestly need to stay on top of. But as part of the follow-up to the long-range facility planning discussion from December, J.P. Cullen and PRA provided an update for us. A little presentation showed us a number of different things that they've been working on. They've successfully completed their building assessments, Matterport scanning, exterior facade drone assessments, and the mechanical, electrical, plumbing assessment as well, with little to no setbacks. Meetings have occurred with individual building leaders to ask questions and gather feedback about what each location needs and wants, and to gather other additional information for J.P. Cullen and PRA to take back and consider. All of these items, all of these tasks were completed in line with the general timeline that has been defined. We're looking good going forward and staying on schedule. And I did ask the question if they found anything kind of very positive, maybe unexpected, not necessarily like the needs improvement type of thing, and there were no surprises thus far, so that was good to hear. The other item that we discussed tonight was an updated 5-year capital improvement plan. So the plan was presented and discussed. Items of clarification were out there, but I think one of the more important things is because obviously on the surface, we have this project with regards to the long-range facility plan, and then we're also talking about our 5-year capital improvement plan. Right now, they are kind of treated separately because we're still gathering information on the long-range plan, but we still need to maintain and stay on top of our regular annual maintenance of our facilities. And so because we levy and also we set some money aside for capital improvements as well, we need to provide this report on a regular basis. The idea is that we present this in such a way so that we stay on top of all of the maintenance and improvements year to year, so that we don't have it either accidentally or purposely kind of kick the can down the road and defer the maintenance and run into problems in the future. So ultimately, once we get the final long-range facility plan and once we compare it to our capital improvement plan, to some degree they'll merge together or be adjusted in such a way where we are looking at things in totality. So like I said, that too, you may want to catch that part of the video to better understand kind of why we're doing these two things. With that being said, I'm bringing a motion with a positive recommendation from the Buildings and Grounds Committee to approve the updated 5-year capital improvement plan.
That comes forward with a positive recommendation, does not require a second. Any discussion? I would just add, if you have the time, the 5-year plan capital improvement plan is a good thing to take a look at, and you can see some potential improvements that could be coming in the next 5 years, as well as that deferred maintenance side. Myself and Dr. White have had many conversations about varying referendums that are going on around the state, and oftentimes how much those are tied into deferred maintenance costs. And strategically, this is part of this district's mission, is to keep these costs planned for and scheduled for, to keep ourselves out as best as possible in those regards, keep ourselves out of the weeds, I guess, in those regards. I appreciate the work, and the building committee is taking a big step in ensuring we stay on track with that. So thank you. Anything other? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. I believe that is it for Buildings and Grounds. That means we move on to Mr. Loth in Finance Committee, item 9.
Okay, the Finance Committee met earlier this evening, January 27th, 2025. What I will give you this evening is the Cliff's Notes version of everything we talked about. First item is full board item 9A, committee meeting update. Brittany answered a few questions that the committee had, and we approved the vouchers. Second item is also 9A, a committee meeting update, and we had Miss Wendy Unger with Baker Tilly was present, and she went over the 2023-2024 financial audit and any findings and things that were discovered. So this is where the Cliff's Notes really come in, and if you want to see what Miss Wendy Unger reported, go back and watch the Finance Committee meeting video. Anyway, there really were no anomalies, no unusual findings. The district is in very good shape financially. Brittany is running a very tight ship. We've added a little bit of money to the, what do you call it? The fund balance. Just forgot the word. You know, it's our plan to boost fund balance a little bit over the next few years so that we do not have to borrow money to make ends meet at certain times of the year when things get tight, depending on when the tax revenues come through to the school district. So all in all, it was a good report, and probably nothing else to say about that. Next item was full board item 9B. This is a copy center item. We're looking at a new copy machine. We've got a fast, large, high-speed machine, and we've got a small machine that really can't keep up when the fast machine is down. The fast machine is worn out. It's interesting how these things wear out, but it's about 8 years old, so that's about a little bit past the average lifetime. Anyway, the next machine is slower than our fast machine, but it's faster than our slow machine, if you can follow that. The plan is to purchase a medium machine this year and then another medium machine next year. And between those two machines, there's actually more copy capability, more speed between the two medium machines than the one fast machine. Everybody's got that, right? Right. Okay, so we bring a motion to bring forward to the Board of Education with a positive recommendation from the Finance Committee to purchase the first device, a Konica 2100, for $34,347.15.
Comes forward with a positive recommendation, does not require a second. Any discussion?
I think the only thing I can think of is I wonder if the price will be the same for the next machine next year, or is it going to go up a little bit, or maybe down a little bit if we're lucky?
We don't know that at this time. I mean, I could ask to lock the price in, but if it goes down, then
Yeah, I think we're good. It's just a curiosity I have, but that's the plan, to spread the cost of the two machines over two school years.
Seems reasonable. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes.
And that was it for the Finance Committee. We adjourned at 6:09 p.m.
Thank you. Just a quick comment on the committee reports. Once again, all those committees are recorded and available on our YouTube channels. I do recommend if you're interested in that, go take a look at them, listen to the conversations that take place. You'll see that they are much lengthier than the overview or the cliff notes that we receive at this. We're able to do that because so many members, while not on these committees, do attend them. We host committees intentionally in concert with each other and it promotes that board participation. While the 3 members of each committee are the official act of that committee, all members are welcome to share in the discussion portion, and I appreciate the board's commitment to continuing that. It makes these meetings, unless I blab on like this, run fairly smooth. Thank you. Item 10, new business. Item 10A, discussion and action of 25-26 open enrollment seats. Dr. Reuter.
Thank you. January is the month that the board must act on open enrollment seats for the next school year. This evening, we are requesting no seats across the district. That's based on calculated via the following indicators. Our current enrollment that we're casting forward, that's attached in your packet, the 25-26 school year, projected enrollment growth based on averages over the past year's growth. Enrollment counts included current open enrollment students, integration transfer program students, and non-resident tuition waiver students already in the district who will need to apply for open enrollment from February 3rd, 2025 through April 30th, 2025. The current number of K-12 teaching staff, K-12 district-wide building capacity, and board policy 2312 class size. As you can see, and this is in accordance with Neola policy 5113. So for the 25-26 school year, administration's request to the board is to approval of no new seats in grades 4K through 12 and no special education seats in grades 4K through 12. Currently, we believe in working with Mrs. Cole and her department, our current special ed caseload, which we believe are at the maximum level of resident students, do not yield space for additions to that of non-resident students. And as I spoke to before, as we work with the village and look at the expansion, possible expansion over the next few years, we want to stabilize with our current district growth and not get ourselves in a predicament where we enter new students in, specifically at the 4K or 5K level, that may lead then to larger class sizes 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, not knowing what the village will approve or disapprove. We heard through Finance Committee meetings earlier this year around the proposal in the TID north of Rockfield that water and sewage and a new Rockfield road may go in, which may lead to residential growth in that area as well. And we do not have a map or timeline if those things were to happen, how quickly development could rise, and all of a sudden we find ourselves in a predicament where we are forced to go to referendum to expand buildings. Coinciding with the report that we heard from Mr. Pollock from tonight's Buildings and Grounds meeting, we are working with J.P. Cullen and PRA to look at our long-term facility needs and maximizing all space within that, as well as we've contracted with MD Roffers to look at and work with the village and the entities in the surrounding outskirts of our district and real estate developers to look at if these proposed residential areas go in, what is the actual number of students from a statistical analysis that could possibly come through our doors. So there are a lot of moving parts, whereas why this year we're coming to you with the recommendation of no new seats for the 25-26 school year. We, every Tuesday morning as a cabinet team, the directors and myself, pull the enrollment report, look through it, and discuss staffing needs. Mr. Nowak will be coming forward next month with a preliminary staffing plan. We do not see this affecting that we'd have a mass layoff or lose teachers. With the number of teachers we know that will be retiring, and looking at our current projected enrollment. Even since this was published on Friday, the kindergarten numbers jumped by 10 students. So we know that that number where it says 72 is currently at 82 as of this morning when I pull up the enrollment projection report, and that could change already tomorrow. We know that we don't capture every 4-year-old kindergartner within the district because we have 3 private entities that they go to 4K at and have historically come to us. So that number around the 4K number jumped from 72 to 82. We know that's where that number was actually a year ago. It was in the 70s, and we saw that number jump to 167 before the start of the school year. Additionally, we have an area near that feeds into MacArthur that we have a transient population because of rental properties that we see fluctuations in the month of July and August when it comes to kindergarten enrollment can spike either direction. So we want to give ourselves the flexibility by not bringing in more students that are non-resident but not kicking out the students that we currently have that are in the system through open enrollment so they can continue their educational experience here. I tried to be very in-depth with that. So.
I guess first we'll have to take a motion and then discussion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 0 regular education open enrollment seats and 0 special education seat spaces for the 2025-2026 school year based on the criteria outlined in Germantown School District Policy 5113, and guarantee approval to all applicants currently attending the Germantown School District regardless of space availability for the 2025-2026 school year. The board does not require non-resident students already accepted through open enrollment to reapply as long as the student is continuously enrolled in the district.
Second.
Mr. Pollock with the motion, Ms. Higginbotham with the second. I will open it for discussion. I guess I'll have a few questions. Shocker. Can you discuss, so this will not require current open enrolled students to apply?
They don't have to reapply.
Reapply.
So if I was accepted as a kindergartner 5 years ago, I don't have to reapply through the state portal system. That goes through Melissa and then is approved because you had seats, so you'll continue on.
In many districts, sometimes there is a reapply year, whether it's the bridge from elementary to middle or middle to high school. You're saying that doesn't apply in this scenario?
Correct.
What about students currently enrolled as residents whose families are moving out of the district? Are they able to continue to stay as, or would they have to apply as open enroll?
If you look at the bullet, and Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong here, if you look at bullet point 3 in the background, student non-resident tuition waiver students already in the district will need to apply for open enrollment from February 3rd, 2025 through April 30th, 2025, correct?
Is that a change
Yes.
based off of policy change and
Correct.
some other kind?
We had that, yes, that came up in policy committee earlier this year, that if you come in through tuition waiver because you started the year here, now you can end the year, but you'd have to come back in through open enrollment.
Is there going to be communication from district office to anyone that has been identified in this position?
Yes.
Just as a preemptive, hey, this is not the same as usual. Please understand the following process you'll need to involve yourself in.
When there is a tuition waiver application, they work through Melissa, so that'll be communicated at that point in time, so they can decide, do we want to finish the year here with the obviously not having an open enrollment seat, or do we want to go to our new resident district, whether it's Menominee Falls, Mequon, wherever it might be.
I'm just making sure we have some fail-safes as far as communication to the people that might be in those unique spots. And then I have one, I believe it's on topic, but it came up in finance earlier when I was listening, some unique transportation from a student in Milwaukee to the district. How does transportation work for open enrollment seats, or is this a unique?
That was a unique, I believe the students displaced because of homeless, and we needed to provide transportation.
Between homeless or 220, the 220 program?
We have legal, McKinney-Vento and 220 legality.
Okay,
I meant to say that during the meeting, because when Milwaukee was brought up, it's like, why are we transporting?
It had a thought in my head, but I knew we were talking about this, so I figured this was a time to do it. Okay, thank you for those answers. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. New business discussion and action, approve overnight travel request, GHS Palms. Ms. Burmeister.
I believe none of our guests are here this evening, so I will handle the travel this evening. Because I know a lot about the War Chicks. We'll be competing in their regional competition on January 25th, 2025. Depending on the results of the competition, the team could qualify to perform at the state competition in lacrosse from January 31 through February 2nd, 2025. Be 17 students and 3 coaches would attend the trip. Expenses will be covered out of the Germantown School District by the district using the GHS athletics and activities budget, along with student fundraising, donations, and parent contributions. So as you can see, in the past, we've been stuck with timelines that we're approving travel after the competition already began. So we're preemptively, and we know our war chicks are pretty good and usually qualify for everything.
Well, I can provide an update on this. They advanced in all three of their dances, poms, kick, and jazz. So this isn't they may, depending on the
longer
results,
preemptive?
They are going, so.
So we're looking for a motion to approve this evening.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the overnight travel request for 17 students and 3 coaches to travel to La Crosse, Wisconsin from January 31st through February 2nd, 2025.
Second.
Mr. Pogue with the motion, Mr. Barney with the second. Any discussion?
Just a couple items. The War Chicks will be performing tomorrow at the girls' basketball game, so if you want to check them out before they head off to La Crosse, feel free to see a great basketball game against Tosa West, but also stick around during halftime. And also because I'm a War Chicks dad, just for to avoid any sort of appearance of conflict or anything, I'm going to abstain during this vote.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yes, I wish them best of luck.
Absolutely. Best of luck, and I appreciate the preemptive nature of this. I know we've had lots of questions of why are you always approving that 2 weeks after we've come back?
Well, thank you to the coaches and advisors. There's another one like this that they're thinking ahead is
Yep.
we're pretty good at a lot of things, and so
Yeah.
you know, be ahead of the game.
Absolutely. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Item C, discussion and action to approve overnight travel training request, FBLA KMS, and it'll be Dr. Reuter again.
Yep, students at Kennedy Middle School involved in Future Business Leaders of America Club will be competing in their state competition from February 23rd and 24th, 2025 in the Wisconsin Dells. Up to 26 students along with 3 advisors will attend. Expenses are covered out of the Germantown School District GHS, the district budget using GHS athletic activities budget, as well as students, parents, and fundraising efforts. Looking for a motion to approve 26 students and 3 advisors for that travel and overnight.
Make a motion to approve the overnight travel request for up to 26 students and up to 3 advisors to travel to Wisconsin Dells from February 23rd to the 24th, 2025.
Second.
Higginbotham with the motion, Mr. Barney with the second. Any discussion?
Yes, wish them best of luck.
Fantastic, absolutely. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Item D, discussion and action to approve overnight travel training request, DECA GHS.
The DECA state competition will be held February 24th through the 26th in Lake Geneva. 20 students and 2 advisors will be attending the competition. Student fundraising, parents and/or donations will pay for the registration, meals, and lodging expense for the students. Transportation costs for students along with all expenses for advisors will be covered by the school district using GHS athletics and activities budget. Looking for overnight travel approval for this great event.
Fantastic. Hear a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the overnight travel request for 20 students and 2 advisors to travel to Lake Geneva as part of the DECA GHS state competition in Lake Geneva, February 24th through 26th, 2025, and wish them the best of luck.
Second.
Mr. Pollock with the motion, Mr. Barney with the second. Any discussion? I'll wish them best of luck this time.
Part of the motion.
I've got one. It's Distributed Education Clubs of America.
Yeah, but they now don't go, they just call themselves DECA. That was the old acronym.
They no longer operate under the acronym. That
Nope,
is now.
just DECA.
It's just a new word.
Yeah, it is.
That's all capitalized.
Yeah,
We'll run that through the English.
business, it's not English. So.
There you go. Run it through the English department. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Move on to item 11, closed session. 11A, motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes, number 1, 19.85, sub 1, sub C, to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any employee, a district administrator evaluation, and 2, 19.85, Sub 1, Sub D, considering strategy for crime detection or prevention, A, school safety plans.
So moved.
Second.
You got it, Tracy.
That's you.
Mr. Marty with the motion, Ms. Higginbotham with the second. Roll call.
Ewert.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Barney's a yes. Loth.
Yes.
Pollock.
Yes.
Higginbotham.
Yes.
I believe we are not anticipating entering back into open session. So thank you for coming, and please drive home safe. And until the next time. We are enclosed at 8:20.